Hello, and thank you for listening in. Today we're going to talk and go through a demo of the Content Quadrant in SharePoint. The Content Quadrant web part displays visual icons and information in a clean grid layout. You can configure multiple sections of information with easily filterable tabs. The Content web part does have different styles and customizable features to best match your brand's and community's visual identity. Now let's take a look at the configuration panel for the Content Quadrant web part. Let's take a look at the tabs section within the web part configuration. If you choose to use a tab view, that allows you to filter your quadrants by a certain tab. You also can go without a tab view and just have all of your quadrants display without being associated with a filter. Again, if you use the tab view, you want to enable it, and you can add as many tabs as you'd like. Each tab comes with a system name and a display name that you need to enter. This display name is what gets associated with the quadrants in the section below, and we'll talk about that in just a minute. You can also delete tabs just like this, and if you want to drag the order or move the order around of the tabs, you can do so just by clicking and then dragging and dropping. Now let's take a look at the quadrant section within the web part configuration. Here's where you can add each quadrant or item that is displayed under these tabs here, such as employee handbook or updated timesheet policies. You can add as many quadrants as you'd like, and to move them around or change the order, simply drag and drop as to where you'd like them to be placed. If you want to edit an existing quadrant, simply click on the edit icon and you have full capabilities of editing any component of that quadrant. To add a new quadrant, simply click Add Quadrant. You can see here that you could set a title. This title is what is displayed here, such as Employee Handbook or Updated Timesheet Policies. System title is really for the back end or configuration aspect, and that's what is displayed here, making it easy to know what quadrant you're editing. You can set description text. That description text refers to the text that's displayed below the title. So in this case here, where you could see Employee Handbook, it would be View the Updated Employee Handbook here. Tab. This is where you associate it with a specific tab. So if you wanted Employee Handbook to be associated with Human Resources, you would check that off. Otherwise, you can associate your Content Quadrant item with any tab that is predefined in the tabs area above. Learn More button link. That refers to the bottom of each quadrant. At the bottom, if you'd like to have a Learn More button link and link it somewhere, this is where you could set the default text that displays in that button, and if you want to open it in a new tab. This allows you to add custom content that you want to show within the quadrant itself. Right, so if we expanded the highlights, and I could show that in just a second, if we expanded the highlights, what items do we want to show there? Image source. This refers to the image that is displayed here. So for this updated timesheet policies, it's this clock image here. And employee handbook, it's this employee handbook image here. And where do you want that URL to come from, right? So you can choose to also not have an image, or you can enter one yourself. For all of your content links, that again I'll show in just a second, you can set the behavior for them. So do you want them to open all in a new window, the same window, or only let's open external links in a new window? You can also limit the view of each quadrant by profile field. So if you want to add some permissions around that, you can do so here. Now if I go out of here momentarily, you can see that this highlights area is what I was referring to, and then here's the Learn More button as well. So if I was to expand this highlights field, that's where the additional linked content would display. Now let's take a look at the theme section within the web part configuration. As always, you can reset your theme to be the default or site theme that is automatically there. However, if you don't want to take that route, you do have multiple configuration options that really can be adjusted to fit your community or branding guidelines. For example, some of these main colors refer to the quadrant colors. So in each quadrant, what do you want the text color to be? What do you want the links color to be if you were to expand the highlights and see those links below? What do you want that web part background color to be? So behind all of the quadrants and the tabs. For headers, what do you want the header color to be? That refers to this area up here. You have your white text, your header bubble text color here, your gradient start color is this dark blue, and on the right it ends with the light blue. You also have control over the tab colors. So for each tab, such as human resources or getting started, you can have an active tab background color, which is this blue with the white text, as well as the active tab text color, border color, and default tab border color. You also can set the colors for your quadrants. So what do you want your quadrant header color to be, such as employee handbook or updated timesheet policies? What do you want the bullet colors to be, so highlights and when you expand it? What do you want that button to be here, the learn more button? So again, just multiple theming options to best align with your community branding and guidelines. Now let's take a look at the Advanced Settings tab within the configuration of the web part. You could set a header for your web part here. You also have the ability to control the greeting text that is displayed. You can enter whatever you'd want or nothing at all. If you show the user greeting bubble, that's referring to this bubble here, where it by default refers to the contextual or the accessing user and their name. You can choose to collapse content section, and what that does is within each content section you can see that the highlights, any information or items under here are automatically collapsed, and this is the text that you can configure for it. You can allow linking to a specific tab, and what that is when you check it off, as it says here, you can create a link from another page to open up one of these specific tabs in the Content Quadrant tile. You can also allow linking to a specific quadrant, so similar to that tab. You can choose to show the header image, and if you do, you can enter a URL. In this case, we weren't showing it, but we wanted to check it off for demo purposes. If you added an image URL, it would display here in your header. The Fonts tab within the web part configuration allows you to either reset to default or system font, or it allows you to define your own fonts for the regular font types as well as bold. For each font type, you can select where you want it from. You can inherit from bold. You can upload a custom font file as long as it's one of these. You can search for a Google font, or you can use one of the basic fonts that are in the system. Once you actually select a font type, you could select the font weight or style. For something like a Google font, if you were to select it, you can then select the subset as well as the weight and style. The last section within this web part configuration is the migrate configuration. Let's say you already have a Content Quadrant web part configured that you like and you would like to easily move to another page in your site or community. To do so, you can navigate to your Content Quadrant web part configuration, copy your current configuration code, and wherever you want to add that copy of the code, you add a new Content Quadrant web part to the page and paste in that configuration code. This allows you to start with what you already had configured, and you can make small changes as needed. Thank you so much for listening to this demo. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out.